here with Blake Harms at the After 7 garage, and today we're going to be replacing the alternator in my NSX because it's making a sound and it's only charging the battery for 13 months. Right. So Blake will be helping me. He owns the After 7 garage.
Yes, I'm the owner of After 7 Garage. We specialize in off-road performance and repair. My roots are with Honda and ACURA, so this is right up my alley.
Cool. So after 7, that means if you do it after your first hours.
Yeah, so I pretty much work a 8 to 5 like everybody else, and I wanted to start working on cars after hours. So after 7 is what I went with, and those are my hours. Anytime after then, you'll catch me in the shop.
So what are you doing, a night owl?
Pretty much a night owl, man. I'm usually here until 11:30.
Nice. That's my kind of guy. Man, it's hot today, so we're going to get started. Alright, Blake's going to take the spare tire out.
I'll remove the lock nut and bolt. Gently take the spare tire out.
And that way, apparently it was really hot. That way we can get to the battery.
Alright, now with the negative disconnected, we can safely remove the alternator power wire without arcing anything. This is the first step. You always unhook the battery before you do anything with the electrical system. Alright, so this is the power wire that goes directly from the alternator to the battery. This is what charges the battery. If you do not unhook the negative like we just showed you, this will arc as soon as you touch it to the ground source or metal. So you want to make sure that you're very, very gentle with it. There you go.
Oh, nice.
Experience pays, man.
Yeah.
If you know that it's not going right, then you got to slow down and back up for a minute.
Yeah, that's why I have you doing it and not me.
Wei-Han, you know your way around a car, man. Just takes a little bit of practice and maybe a few mistakes along the way. Alright guys, so we got the nut off. Now we're going to go ahead and take the alternator wire off. And we can move that to the side. Again, everything is dead, nothing's live. We've got the negative unhooked off the battery, so we are good. Alright, so next guys, we've got to loosen the bolt on this side as well as on this side. To remove the tension and move this down, you need to be able to pivot. If you keep this bolt tight and you move the tensioner, you're going to break it. Alright, now that that's loose, it's going to swing, and we'll do the same thing with this one. Probably get a wrench in there. Alright, wrench is on. Tell you what, I'm going to get a wobbly socket on it. That'll get in there good.
Okay, let me get this detail. So you loosened that one.
So I loosened this bolt here.
Yeah.
As well as
way down
right
there.
Here.
All right. So Blake loosened this bolt and that bolt down there he's pointing to, so that we can now remove the tensioner bolt.
Correct.
All right.
Now that this bolt is loosened, there's a screw going up and down, and as we loosen this, it's going to lower down tension on this belt. And as you get this dropping it down, you can see. quite a bit, and now we can take our belt off just about. Belt is off.
Cool.
Bando, that's an original belt, good quality. Looks like it has held up pretty good, no cracks. But we're going to go ahead and replace the belt for maintenance anyways. What I'm doing is taking the nut off of this tensioner side so we can remove the bolt that goes through it, allowing us to take the alternator out of the car. Oh yeah, hot, hot, hot. Come on. Here we go. Cool. That's our tensioning bolt. And this is the bolt that goes through it. So it slides into there, and as you tighten it, it pulls the alternator up and down. That's just the lock nut to keep it tight. As you can see, we've only got one bolt left.
You want something?
No, okay. Good. Pull this guy out. And we're going to unplug the connector on the back. There's a snap on the bottom. That's it. Now this is anti-corrosion gel that's just solidified over time, so this is actually an okay thing. This is not bad. Honda does this so water doesn't get into the connection. Everything looks great. This is the original unit, guys. Denso, great manufacturer. This car is what, 20 plus years old, and it's just now getting its first alternator replacement.
Yep. Alright, so on the left we have the new alternator, on the right is the old one. Somehow during shipping on the new alternator, this piece got broken off a little bit. Pieces of it got broken off. But Blake took this plastic piece from the old one and then placed it onto this new one, so things are good there.
Alright guys, so we got the new remanufactured Denso alternator. This is the original manufacturer. Great choice to replace it with this one, Wei-Han. Let's go ahead and plug it in first like we did last time, in reverse order. Snap. As long as you hear that pop, you know it's connected well. Look at that. Right in there. That's what you get for buying quality parts, guys. Let's go ahead and start with the pivot bolt. That's always a good choice, just to get everything lined up. There we go. Always start your bolts by hand, guys. Don't ever cross thread things getting in a hurry. This one's started. Now let's go ahead and put our tensioning bolt back in it. The trick my friend showed me.
Pretty good.
And this got to go through our tensioning bracket. And back onto our tensioning bolt. There it goes. All
Try
right.
to zoom in there. Go. Yeah, it's really tough to see, but when you took the bolts out to show how they went together, that was helpful.
Yeah.
I think that one looks like the toughest.
It definitely is. Working on cars has taught me patience, and trust me, I don't have much. There we go, guys. Got that started. So all of our bolts are started and in. Before we go crazy with anything, let's double check, make sure everything looks good. We're going to hook up our battery positive wire and secure it down with the proper nut. Put the boot back over it. We're going to put the belt on and start tensioning it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and hook the battery positive wire back up. There's a slot in the back of this. It's very important you make sure the wire is oriented correctly or it's not going to sit down tight. Now this nut does not need to be super tight. You over tighten it, you're going to break off the post. That's it. Now let's put the boot back over it, just like OEM.
Alright, here we have the old belt on the left and the new belt on the right. Now I don't know anything about cars, so I'm just going to describe what I see. The belt on the right has a different groove to it, and it looks like it has this slightly different texture to it too.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So one of the things that we look at visually is to see if there's any cracks in the old belt, but that's not the only way. There's actually a special tool where you insert ridges into the grooves to measure how deep the grooves have worn. As you can tell, there's a significant difference between the grooves wide open on the left and then the nice grooves on the right. So this is going to cut down on noise and friction, so you're going to have a much quieter belt with this one. Alright guys, so here's an example of how to determine belt size and length. The first number, 5, represents the number of ribs on the belt. This is a 5-rib belt. Also, the 1105, imagine a decimal before the last number. This is 110.5 inches long. The one we took off, the original one, looks like it's 109.5. So this is a 1 inch longer belt. That doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be an issue. It all depends on the travel we have on our tensioner. So we're going to go check that out, and we'll let you know. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and install the new belt. Me being a little detail oriented, I want the writing facing towards us. So first we got to loop it towards the bottom. You're not going to be able to see very well, but the crankshaft is what this belt attaches to, and nothing else but the alternator. This is a dedicated alternator belt. Alright, that's on. Alright, so now we can start moving our tensioner up. Check and make sure everything's good. Sometimes when you're putting one of these belts on, down below where you can't see, the belt will actually sit off the tooth on the edge of this, so you got to be really careful you're not off the edge. You could damage the belt. Everything is square. We're looking really good, so we're going to keep tensioning this and go from there. So I'm just tightening this side bolt up just a little bit more. The reason for that is if it's too loose, then as you're tensioning the belt tighter and tighter, this could get cockeyed. So we've got it pretty snug so that now it won't walk left and right, it's just going to move up and down. Okay, so when you're tensioning a manual tension serpentine belt, there's always a spec for the tension. Usually you put a ruler behind the belt and measure the deflection going inwards. We don't have that spec, so what we're going to do is the old school way of, if you can twist it about 90 degrees and it's tight, that's good. We're going to start from there. If there's any squealing, we'll tighten it up. This will stretch as it's a new belt, so we expect to do a final tension, and then Wei-Han is on his way home. Okay. So these bolts are going to be a 14 millimeter socket. I believe that they are M8 bolts in diameter. Same thing on the left side. The tensioning adjuster screw is a 10 millimeter socket, and I want to say that that's like a M6 diameter as well. Alright guys, so we're doing our final tightening on both the pivot bolts for this alternator. We've got the plug connected, the battery wire secured, and the belt tension. So before we put the cover back over this belt, we're going to go ahead and hook the battery back up, start it, see if there's any issues, and then we'll go ahead and finally put her back together. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and hook our negative back up. We've got battery tender clamps on there, so disregard those. This is just to keep the battery charged when we're not driving. Alright. This will be a good way for us to check over ourselves and make sure that the part we just installed is good. And I'm going to cheat and use these battery tender clamps to hold my leads on.
Good idea.
Alright, so we've got battery voltage 12.6. We'll go ahead and start it up and show you guys what we're charging. So currently with the engine running, we're at 14.3. That's phenomenal. Before we started this repair, we were at 13 volts. It's just enough to get by. The spec we want to see is between 13.5 to 15, never above 15, because then you'll damage the battery. But this is great. Great work, guys. We did a great job and a great replacement alternator.
Alright.
Alright guys, so we went ahead and did our first initial startup. Everything went beautiful. We're charging at 14.5 volts. So we're going to go ahead and put our belt cover back on and take it for a first test drive. Like I said before, the belt is going to naturally stretch slightly, and since this has a manual tensioner, there's no spring that's going to automatically keep it tensioned. We might have to come back and give it one final tension. So we're going to button this up and get ready for a test drive.
Alright guys, we're both really hot, but we got the alternator in. It's charging at 14 volts. It sounds good, it drives good. We just took it out for a spin. Blake got to drive the NSX for the first time as well. So I'm really glad. It took us about an hour and a half or so once we got everything set up.
Not too bad.
So it wasn't bad at all.
Thanks to Wei-Han for bringing the NSX in to After 7 Garage. He immediately noticed that there was something going on with the alternator, got parts on the way, contacted us, and here we are. So NSX is back. Wei-Han's happy, I'm happy, and couldn't be more grateful. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks to Blake.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.